Breaking news! Get ready, because the week is off to a hot start. We have a wave of news straight from Allen Park that should set your Honolulu Blue Heart on fire. I'll tell you right away that one of the news stories is about Aiden Hutchinson. But before you continue, make sure you've already hit the like button if you've been a Detroit Lions fan for over 17 years. If possible, comment like this: Go Lions! Let's roar loud this season. Now let's get to the point. The first news is this: Aiden Hutchinson is back. Not just maybe back or should be back soon, but officially wrapping up his rehab process and preparing for what could be the most dominant season of his young career. And as if that wasn't enough to get you excited, the buzz surrounding a possible reunion with veteran edge rusher Zadarius Smith has fans speculating. Is Brad Holmes building a defensive monster? Let's start with Hutchinson. He was a game-changer last year, a driving force behind the Lions' 15-2 run. But now we're talking about a fully recovered, hungry, and reconditioned version of him. On April 13th, he completed his final evaluation and declared his rehab complete. 4 months before training camp, Hutchinson says he's ready to play. That's not just great news, it's transformative. It means Aaron Glenn can start designing a defense based on frontcourt dominance, not relying so heavily on blitz packages. It opens up the playbook, gives the linebackers more freedom, and allows the secondary to focus on coverage instead of running to support the pass rush. The ripple effect is huge. But let's not stop at Hutch. The Lions community got a little boost when Zadarius Smith was spotted courtside at a Pistons game, sitting next to Detroit's Cash Doll. Now, maybe it's just a friendly hangout, but maybe, just maybe, it's something more. Maybe Smith wasn't just enjoying the game, maybe he was in town to talk business. And let's be honest, if there's a chance to bring him back on the right deal, it's a no-brainer. He's not the number one guy on the wing, that's Hutch's role, but as a number 2 or even a rotational option, Smith is proven, reliable, and a perfect fit. Detroit Lions fans, buckle up, because we've got a wave of news straight from Allen Park that should light a fire under your Honolulu Blue Heart, even in the quiet of the offseason. The headline: Aiden Hutchinson is back. Not just maybe back or should be back soon, but officially wrapping up his rehab process and gearing up for what could be the most dominant season of his young career. And if that wasn't enough to get you hyped, the buzz surrounding a possible reunion with veteran edge rusher Zadarius Smith has fans speculating. Is Brad Holmes building a defensive monster? Let's start with Hutchinson. The guy was already a game-changer last year, a driving force behind the Lions' 15-2 run. But now we're talking about a fully recovered, hungry, and reconditioned version of him. As of April 13th, he's completed his final evaluation and declared rehab done. 4 months ahead of training camp, Hutchinson says he's good to go. That's not just great news, that's transformational. It means Aaron Glenn can start scheming a defense built on frontline dominance without relying so heavily on blitz packages. It opens up the playbook, gives more freedom to linebackers, and lets the secondary focus on coverage instead of scrambling to support the pass rush. The ripple effect is massive, but we're not stopping with Hutch. The Lions community got a little spark when Zadarius Smith was spotted courtside at a Pistons game, sitting next to Detroit's own Cash Doll. Now, maybe it's just a friendly hangout, but maybe, just maybe, it's something more. Maybe Smith wasn't just enjoying the game, maybe he was in town to talk business. And let's be honest, if there's a chance to bring him back on the right deal, it's a no-brainer. He's not the number 1 guy off the edge, that's Hutch's role, but as a number 2 or even rotational option, Smith's proven, reliable, and fits like a glove. A short-term deal in the ballpark of $4 to $5 million a year? Lock it in. Add incentives or structure it with heavy first-year guarantees? Do it. You could see a 2-year, $10 million offer with $6 million guaranteed being just enough to bring him back without breaking the bank. And suddenly, Detroit would be boasting one of the most balanced edge duos in the NFC. But even with Hutch back and Smith potentially in the mix, Brad Holmes and the front office aren't putting all their eggs in one basket. The Lions are clearly doing their homework in the draft, looking to add fresh legs and future stars to the defensive front. What we saw was a comprehensive mock draft focused entirely on edge talent in every single round, testing the depth and finding value across the board. Round 1 kicked off with Nick Skirton, a solid choice, though maybe not the most exciting name out there. Things picked up in round 2 with Josiah Stewart out of Michigan, a sack machine who might bring that hybrid edge/linebacker versatility that Glenn can unleash in sub-packages. If there's a pick to get pumped about, it's Stewart. And by the 3rd round, Kymon Rucker from North Carolina joins the party, a strong, versatile edge defender who also holds his own against the run. Then it gets really interesting in round 4 with Sevion Jones. At 6 feet 6 inches and built like an NFL prototype, Jones had 43 pressures last season, good enough to tie for 8th among all SEC edge defenders. That's serious production from a guy who became a full-time starter just last year. Jones might not be ready to start day 1, but with that frame and skill set, he could be a steal in the mid-rounds. And in the later rounds, why not take a flyer? Johnny Walker Sr. in the 6th might not blow scouts away with his measurables, but 10 sacks is 10 sacks. That kind of productivity late in the draft is exactly what you hope to uncover, guys who can be molded, developed, and maybe even contribute in rotational roles sooner than expected. Looking at the big picture, what's taking shape is a layered, strategic approach to shoring up the edge. You've got your star in Hutchinson. You've got a potential vet presence in Smith. You've got options in every round of the draft. And all of this is happening under the direction of Brad Holmes, who continues to show a knack for balancing value, need, and long-term development. Lions fans, think about what this means. A defensive front that no longer relies on gimmicks to generate pressure. A defense that can win with 4 and drop 7. A rotation deep enough to stay fresh late in games, in December, and hopefully into January. We've been waiting for Detroit to become a defensive force again, and this could be the start of that identity shift. So here's the question. What do you think? Should the Lions go all in on bringing back Zadarius Smith? Which draft pick stands out to you the most? Are you betting on Josiah Stewart to become Hutch's running mate? Let me know in the comments, and let's keep this conversation going. The roar is getting louder in Detroit, and something special might be building on that defensive line. And if you thought that was it, oh no, we're just getting warmed up. Because as impressive as the current edge depth conversation is, what makes this story even more compelling is how the Detroit Lions are positioning themselves with long-term vision. This isn't about patching holes. It's about building a wall. And while Hutchinson is the cornerstone, and a guy like Zadarius Smith could be the season stabilizer, it's the chessboard of young talent being laid out through the draft that should make fans lean forward. Let's rewind for a second and talk about Brad Holmes' philosophy, best player available. That's been his North Star, and it's why the Lions didn't force an edge pick at 28 in this mock draft. According to repeated scenarios, that spot often sees a left tackle, Banks, being the highest-rated player. Now, even though fans might want an edge there for the flashy pick or to fill an immediate need, sticking to that best player available strategy is what has helped Holmes consistently hit on draft picks. And it also means that any edge player selected later has passed that BPA test. So the real meat of this edge building strategy lies in rounds 2 through 6. That's where the draft really unfolds. Josiah Stewart in round 2 is where things get spicy. He's not just a U of M guy. He's a pass rush artist. Smaller, yes, but explosive off the edge with the potential to play in space. You're talking about a guy who could be schemed into unique packages, maybe even filling some of the hybrid roles that the Lions have experimented with in the past. The question becomes, do you unleash Stewart on third down as a situational rusher, or can he be molded into a full-time edge? With his youth and production, the ceiling is high. Holmes may have unearthed a second-day gem. Then there's Amon-Ra, the third-round compensatory pick that Detroit picked up for Aaron Glenn leaving. That's a nice chess move in itself. Using that pick to bring in a player like Rucker, who can both rush and set the edge against the run, shows smart scouting. It's about fit, not flash. Rucker doesn't need to be a 10-sack guy. He just needs to hold the line and let the stars shine. That kind of depth wins games in the second half of the season. Go Lions!